We are.
Good, me too. I was really excited when I got here and saw all the caution signs and the danger signs and the tape and the barricades and the confusion in the lobby, and I didn't know where to go, and I was totally lost, and I was like, how did we co-create this?
You're very kind.
I went down this long road to get out here, and I was like, ooh, we're going to go to a nice place in Sedona, and I was like, so excited about it. But then I thought, okay, well, this is something coming from inside, right? All this stuff is just a reflection of what's going on. And I thought about...
It's an opportunity to acknowledge that all conditions don't have to be perfect in order to have what you call a perfect experience.
Right.
It's an opportunity to allow things that you can't control not to ruin your day. It's an opportunity to accept that, yes, you are rendezvousing. And yes, where you rendezvous and what you rendezvous with is a reflection of what's going on vibrationally. But really, isn't it something that you dominantly want to understand? Do you really want or need to control all of the circumstances around you in order to feel good, you see?
What I want is to be able to know that it's all the right thing at the right time.
Well, it always is. When Esther saw it, her first response, we can't speak out loud to you. And what her discord was first and foremost about was her concern about your experience. But we've been wanting to help her with that for a long time because we don't want Esther to take responsibility for your experience. She wants to provide the best environment that she can. And if you were coming to her property, she would make sure that everything was the way it should be before you would be invited there.
Right.
But this is not her property, and so she does not have that sort of control. But the thing that bothered her more, that was more at the heart of her verbal and emotional discord, was an acknowledgement that her vibration is right where she left it in this place.
Right. Right.
Because she really didn't do any vibrational work about it. She did verbal work, make sure we don't end up down in that room. She did verbal work, reading the contract, acknowledging in other words, she did the work that so many of you do, but it is always the vibrational work, you see. So what's the benefit of this? In other words, no one's having an unpleasant experience and no one will. In other words, it's not like that. It's not extreme. There's nothing unpleasant. It's just inconvenient.
I don't know. For me, it was more the expression of the mystery of exploring, going into what our desires are and what it unfolds, and that it's not just obvious in a great
Well, how many of you think that what deliberate creation is, and in light of the conversation that we've just had, your answer may be muted or it may have expanded or evolved just since you've been sitting in these chairs. But how many of you would say that you have predominantly been believing that the goal of deliberate creation is to eventually bring all conditions into perfection? What's the point of being a deliberate creator if you can't get what you want, right? And so, but how do you feel about living in an environment of variety? So, choices. So if you're at a buffet and there are choices, do you need all of the choices that you're not making to be removed from your experience by someone else? Or do you remove them from your experience by not putting them on your plate? So, how do you remove unwanted from your experience? By not putting it on your plate, by not focusing upon it, by making the best of things, by not beating the drum of unwanted, by not taking something you know you don't like and putting it on your plate and then putting it in your mouth and complaining about it. In other words, by not exaggerating it, but by making lighter. You see, the way Esther will release things like this from her experience is by making lighter of them when they come, and by acknowledging that it really is not her job to create a perfect world for anyone else. But there's a fine line, isn't there? In other words, we understand the dilemma that you and Esther are feeling about this. In other words, I'm either a deliberate creator, I'm either able to create deliberately or not. So if Esther looks down her list of her life and her environments and the way her world is unfolding, she acknowledges that she is a very good deliberate creator. And in a situation like this, where the hotel lobby is under construction and the entry to the meeting room is a little bit of a winding pathway through some alleys, that, in other words, the predominant desire that is being born out of this for Esther is not so much controlling environments as it is feeling all right, being able to better control her her emotional response. Because you see, you're all explorers. You are adventurers. Esther remembers nothing more fun ever than getting on one of those pink Jeeps and being driven down paths that are not trails and trails that are not roads, up the sides of rocks in the most ridiculous combinations of things. In other words, you don't want to take your seatbelt off if you're going to take that pink Jeep tour. It was scary and so fun.
Yeah.
In other words, the adventure of it was amazing. Going to places that she didn't expect to be. Crawling up rocks in a Jeep contraption. In other words, it was exhilarating, but was not without contrast, you see. And so what we're really saying to all of you is that you get to decide how much variety you are willing to explore in order to create the vortex that you want, and then how much you are willing to tune to what you've put there. We've noticed about all of you that you would rather experience negative emotion than no emotion. Because there is at least momentum in negative emotion. You would rather experience negative emotion than boredom, for sure, you see. And what we want you to understand is that you can have it all. But you have to make peace with the contrast. You have to not... This is what we want to say to you, and our friend helped us say it better than we've ever said it before. Nothing has gone wrong, no matter where you're standing. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. And when you stop trying to make something have gone wrong, which means you got to place the blame on that one or this one, and in either case, that just separates you from who you are. So if you could embrace today the very clear understanding that we hold, and it's a notion for many of you, if you could clearly embrace, completely embrace that nothing has gone wrong, but here you stand in better capability of finding clarity than you ever have before. Now you're going to be having adventure rather than discomfort everywhere you are.
Well, what I cherish about your teachings and your work is the support that you give to personal desires, and you've given me a lot of confidence to go after, dreams that I have in life, no matter how crazy they are, and they're leading me down some windy roads that I don't know the answers to them. And you were saying earlier, you ask the question, you get the answer. You ask the question, get the answer.
The winding road is where the fun is.
It really is.
The winding road is where the adventure is.
Yeah.
The winding road is where you pick up more clarity along the way. The winding road assures your eternalness.
So,
quite appropriate. It was quite a winding road into this room, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and yet it's kind of like what I'm going through in life right now too, and trying.
It's a metaphor for all of you.
And seeing that who I am when I get to what I want, I better like that person, right? Who's going to become.
But here's the thing: we love you so much. You're never going to get to where you think you're going. but you're going to be with you all the way along. And so that's why we say start liking that person right now.
So
Nothing's gone wrong. You didn't make a mistake bringing your family over.